Everybody, welcome back to the Punk Rock Player One channel, and today we are looking at the Alien Ant Farm most recent album, Mantras, something like that. It was released about a week ago. I'm excited about this one. So, Alien Ant Farm is mostly known for their cover of the Michael Jackson song, which is escaping me at the moment. Annie, are you okay? Yep. Smooth Criminal. There you go. They're very famous for that cover, but they have a bunch of great original music as well from that album. Go check it out. And maybe I'll do a review on that album later because that's a good classic pop punk 2000s album, sort of, kind of. So looking at this new album, they haven't released something in a while. I have to look back. It's been a while. It's been around almost a decade or something like that since these guys have released anything. So this is going to be pretty interesting. So starting off with the opener, The Wrong Things. It has very good, like surprisingly enough, reggae riffs during the verses. And I really do like his vocals. I've always liked this guy's vocals. It very much reminds me of the Smooth Criminal song. He completely crushed that song, by the way. Like, amazing cover. Go check it out. And in true fashion, his vocals are extremely good on this album. I'd say that might be the highlight of this album because the instruments are all very good as well, but I feel like his vocals just take it to that next level. And in mentioning that, the vocals on The Wrong Things is very good. And I really liked how they have this organ or keyboard playing a single note during the chorus part. That's a nice touch. It gives it like some levity and some weight. You'll have to listen to the song to hear it, but you can hear it right before they drop into the fast punk stuff. It gives it a nice touch. It's also very kind of chill song as well as being heavy. So I thought that was cool that it had a nice mix for the first song of the album. And this ended up on my top 5. So right out of the gate, they already have a song that would be on my top 5. Second song, Keeps Up the Pace, Last Dance. They keep it with the ant theme. I don't know if they've done that before in their other albums. I have to look. It's pretty funny that they decided to do that with this, though. Ended up being 1, 2, 3 tracks, ant tracks. Yeah. And we'll talk a little bit later about the end of the album, what I think about that. Stay tuned. Last Dance is very good. It has good use of distorted radio vocals. This is kind of like what I like to call them. Kind of like you're like, kind of like speaking in a distance, like you're on a radio or walkie-talkie or something. They use that a lot in this album, and it's not too overused. I appreciate it. And then they go into the regular clean vocals. So I noticed that, and I like that effect. I like it when bands do that. For example, like Blink-182 or Green Day. It's very memorable, like in Holiday, when Billy Joe goes with the radio voice. So Last Dance is very good for that reason, and it also has a godlike chorus. Extremely memorable chorus. And I love the lyric during that chorus. This like spilling all my guts in stereo. That is really good use of that idea because I've heard people talk about saying stuff in stereo. It's like super loud, but I kind of like that he used that spilling my guts in stereo. I mean, that's what singers do, right? And also, it had a nice breakdown and in the post-chorus part. So again, this ends up being one of my top 5. So that's 2 already. The next song, Fade. The guitars are very noticeable in this song. The vocals, he just keeps knocking it out of the park. I'll have to look up what this guy's name is. He's cool. Uh, with very good singer. He has cool vocal effects later in the song, kind of like a almost like a new metal kind of sound with the vocals anyway. Uh, or I'm trying to think of a band that used it. I think this is not a new metal band, but a 90s band, Jane's Addiction, used vocal effects kind of like what he did in the latter part of this. It sounds like his voice is being extremely distorted. It sounded very cool, kind of whimsical sounding. It was cool. And I would say this song fitted more in the like butt rock, hard rock kind of vibe, whereas the first two songs had a little mix of like reggae and pop punk, which is not bad at all. So I think Fade kind of is the first one to veer off from that, kind of more in a hard rock direction, or the faded new metal direction, question mark. And I do like Fade is memorable. I do like it. And then the next track, number one, is a good use of wordplay. So it says number one, but it means no one. There's no one but you. So I kind of like that lyrical play that they did there. Again, this is very much a hard rock song, and I noticed as I was re-listening that there's a nice little Crazy Train Ozzy Osbourne reference in this song, where he says, I think he says something either getting off or on the Crazy Train, and there's a nice little rattlesnake sound effect, like just like at the beginning of the Crazy Train song by Ozzy. Nice. I understood that reference. The next song is Storm's Over. This immediately caught my attention. In my opinion, this is the most pop punk kind of sounding song. I don't know if we would technically classify Alien Ant Farm as pop punk back in the day, but I kind of thought of them as that. Sort of. Maybe a little metal tinged, but still sort of kind of pop punk. And this song fits that bill. I think the lyrics are very good, and also it has an acoustic chorus. That's kind of unusual for me to like a song with acoustic stuff, but it keeps it interesting for me and kind of keeps it different, where it has the acoustic parts, but then it gets back into the regular plugged in parts. I like it. And it is definitely a headbanger. So this also ended up in my top 5. Next song, I believe this one was one of the singles. I can't remember which one was the other single, but So Cold. I think it might have been Fade and So Cold, and possibly Storm's Over. But I think So Cold came out first as a lead single, and that was a good choice. There was good use of the distorted vocals that I talked about earlier, and tasty bass playing and shreddy guitars that sounded really, really rad, in my opinion. And I would say this song is the one that classifies as new metal the most. And there was an awesome solo to boot at the end of the song. So this song also becomes one of my top 5. So that's already 1, 2, 3, 4 already, and we're barely through halfway through the album, so that's pretty great. Next song is What I'm Doing. What Am I Doing? And it's more reggae. This song definitely, in my opinion, shows off the vocalist's vocal chops the most, and because it kind of strips back everything and all you can hear is him. He's the highest level in the song, and it worked in their favor. And it also has a change up in the chorus where it's like a dance rhythm, kind of like, there's many songs you could say is dance rhythm, but there's a song that I remember by Finger 11 called Paralyzer. That drum beat in that song is what this drum beat is, and what am I doing, and that's like dance rhythm. But yeah, I like this song. It has very good, cool reggae sections with like bongo drums and a little bit of like pat 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 bongo drums and ska guitar and bass. So definitely a memorable song. Next one is Prosperous Futures, and it has a very nice lead riff, and it kind of has kind of that wall of sound during the chorus where it's just like layers and layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of guitars. It sounded very cool. It's a slower song, but it has very good, like, good rhythms throughout. So don't sleep on that one. That one's also great. Glasses is the mostly acoustic song of the album, and it is a positive song. It's good, positive lyrics and interesting post chorus. It does pick up at the end of the song, but unfortunately, I would say this is probably my least favorite song of the album. I mean, it's only because I really like all the other songs that I don't like this song. So you'll see how that affects the review in a minute. The next song is Everything She Wants. And this is also very good vocals. It picks up right back up where Prosperous Futures left off. And yeah, this one is the love song of the album, and I would say this one's going to be like a crowd favorite for when they perform this live. I think the song's gonna do very good live. And I'll also say Last Dance is also going to do well live. I think Storm's Over would do well live as well. There's not many on here that would not do well live, which is great. And I love the staccato kind of riffs they got going on and Everything She Wants. And I believe this is the last song of my top 5. Yeah, The Wrongdoings, The Last Dance, Storm's Over, So Cold, and Everything She Wants. Those are my top 5. And the last track, mAntras, definitely the weirdest sounding song on the album, but I do appreciate the level of skill and production with this song. It like sounds like you're stuck on a beach somewhere. That's the best way I can describe it. It has cool percussion, organs, keyboards, and I did appreciate this because Fall Out Boy did this with their most recent album, where they reference a song from the beginning of the album in the last song of the album, and they did that on this one. I think they referenced a ton of the songs on the album. The one I heard was Storm's Over, No More Fighting, which is the lyric from Storm's Over. And I do like that when artists do that these days with like a callback, almost like a reprise. Very cool. And I would say this is a good outro to summarize the album as a whole. It has a lot of the elements that were within the album, like reggae kind of in funk rhythms and interesting drum patterns and stuff. So it's a good summarization of what you heard. But would I say this is a good closer? No, I do not. I mean, there's good vocals on this song, but I'm going to be a little mean and say that this song should have been an interlude, and then have a 12th track that's like your strong closer. That's personally what I would have wanted, but I do get why they did that because it's 10 tracks as a whole, solid, and then you have the 11th track to summarize the whole album. So I do get that. But to get to my album review, so I have to consider that in my album review. So in that case, I did not like Glasses and I did not like mAntras. mAntras. So, but everything else was great. So that ended up being 9 tracks that I wouldn't skip. So the score I'm gonna give it is a 8 out of 10, and I'm so glad these guys are back. This is awesome. Maybe I'll try to go see them on tour or something, but yeah, hopefully. But go check this album out. I enjoyed it, and I think you guys will too. Catch y'all later. Have a good one.